The day will start in a slightly unusual manner today in that Kiritapu Allen will say the Ratana prayer to open the House. Then there will be a business statement from the Leader of the House and presumably a questioning from the opposition on that. Straight on to questions. Standard question from Paula Bennett to the Prime Minister. Does she stand by all her government's statements and actions? Question from Michael Woodhouse about Carol Schrobeck. Question from Amy Adams to the Minister of Transport about the costs of petrol and whether or not people can afford power and food. Paul Goldsmith to the Minister of Transport about state highways. Paul Eagle to the Minister of Housing about housing. Andrew Bailey to the Minister of Housing about Kiwi Build and the requirement for people to live in the homes for 3 years. Chris Bishop, whether he has confidence in the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Wari Homaha. Greg O'Connor to the Minister of Police about the 1,800 new police officers. Jonathan Young to the Minister of Energy and Resources. Does she stand by all her statements in regard to the energy and resources portfolio? Joe Luxton to the Minister of Employment about the state of employment in New Zealand. Scott Simpson to the Minister of Workplace Relations. How many people have been on strike in the last 12 months? And Louise Upston to the Minister of Social Development. Why is the percentage of working age people on the job seeker benefit rising when the unemployment rate is dropping? So we then go on to a bit of slightly unusual things. There's the first reading of the Copyright Marrakesh Treaty Implementation Amendment Bill. This is it sounds a bit weird, but it's a treaty which allows access to published works for people who are blind, visually impaired, or otherwise print disabled. So there's a treaty to help blind people get access to what would otherwise be written material. Then we're having government notice of number 1, which is the sitting program for the rest of the year. It adds in a couple of days at the end of this year and then sets out formally which days Parliament will be sitting in 2019. After that, there'll be another government notice of motion around the financial cycle arrangements. More or less to set up the days when estimates are going to be heard after the next budget. So what we're trying to do is to get a week or a couple of weeks where ministers are available for select committees to give them a fairly good going over so that they can justify the money that is being spent or to be asked about their priorities and why there are some things which some people think should have been funded in next year's budget and haven't been. But what we're doing is setting up the process for that to happen in a more organised way than it has been in the past. We then got to legislation, the Health Drinking Water Amendment Bill in the name of David Clark, the second reading of the Earthquake Commission Amendment Bill, Megan Woods, and the second reading of the Residential Tenancies Amendment Bill in the name of Phil Twyford. After that, there will be a recess and normal transmission will resume in a fortnight.